When I say I don't want to fight Mexican, it's because I represent Mexico.
I feel like Canelo's a fucking pussy.
Canelo doesn't jab anymore. He looks for one shot now. You know, I mean, the end is there for Canelo.
David Benavidez, the unbeaten Mexican powerhouse, is making it absolutely clear what he plans to do next.
Maybe the most feared fighter in boxing. Ever see Julio Cesar Chavez in his prime? I'm talking about the daddy. I'm talking about one of the greatest fighters ever. This guy is the closest thing I have seen to a big Julio Cesar Chavez. David, I'm not putting the Chavez thing on you. I'm just saying you're the closest thing I've seen to a big dude who fights like that. Oh, Canelo's ducking him. This dude's a monster. And I looked and I thought, am I right or wrong about that?
No, you're definitely right. You know, you're looking at a man that's not going to let anything outside the ring, you know, mess with his game. But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not scared of nothing. You know, I accept and I invite war. You know, so if that's what the people of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia want to see, well, let's give it to them. I think everybody is starting to see that I'm fearless, I'm relentless, and I'll fight anybody to get my respect in the ring.
After seeing Canelo Alvarez lose to Terence Crawford, David Benavidez did not hold back. He spoke openly and clearly, not only demanding a fight, but directly claiming that Canelo is avoiding him out of fear. For a long time, one particular opponent has followed Canelo's career closely, a matchup that many believe he has repeatedly chosen not to take.
Back on Canelo, and he was talking about how he didn't want to give David Benavidez the fight because he was being disrespectful.
When you look at the history of Canelo, all the fighters that was disrespectful, calling them out, and he fought all of them. But I just think from a Mexican standpoint, one being extra disrespectful towards the other, he took the sport out of it, and he just felt as if he wasn't going to give Benavidez the payday that he wanted.
David Benavidez believes the time has come to close this chapter and claim the top spot for himself. Following the surprising loss to Terence Crawford, the pressure around the situation has only intensified. Not long ago, the sport was shaken when Crawford, already the undisputed champion at welterweight, jumped up 2 divisions and put on a performance that made Canelo Alvarez look far more vulnerable than usual. It was more than just a defeat. It was a clear and commanding showing that chipped away at the reputation Canelo had built over the years. Experienced voices in boxing, including respected trainer Ronnie Shields, even suggested that Canelo may have already passed the highest point of his career.
I predicted Crawford by unanimous decision. He got that. You know, I just thought Crawford was too fast for Canelo. Too many combinations. Canelo doesn't jab anymore. He looked for one shot now. You know, I mean, the end is there for Canelo.
At the same time, Oscar de la Hoya gave a detailed explanation of where Canelo Alvarez fell short. This was far more than an ordinary bout. It marked a turning point that revived a long-awaited challenge. In a sit-down with Inside the Ring, David Benavidez openly praised Terence Crawford for what he achieved. He congratulated Crawford for securing a place in boxing history that very few ever reach. Benavidez stated that Crawford deserves a spot among the sport's all-time greats for climbing 3 divisions and becoming the undisputed champion at super middleweight. He also pointed out that Crawford proved not only his skill, but his toughness in that fight, adding that other fighters could learn from the determination he displayed.
First of all, I just want to give Terence Crawford a great congratulations. You know, he's reached a part in history that only so many fighters get to even accomplish in boxing. You know, he's one of the greatest of all time. There's nothing, you can't take that away from him. Terence Crawford should be on the Mount Rushmore in boxing because not only did he go up 3 weight classes, he beat one of the best fighters of this generation. I don't remember any time in history where anybody has come up from 147 pounds and won the super middleweight championship. Not only just won, but the undisputed. He's won every single title. So, you know, man, that man, not only is he a great fighter, but you could tell in that fight by seeing this combination right now how much of a dog he is. You know what I mean? I think a lot of fighters could take a lot of notes from Terence Crawford, not only physically, but as take notes in the heart aspect. And I give it all up to Terence Crawford. You know, he's one of the greatest of all time. And, you know, we salute Terence Crawford.
Well before Terence Crawford shocked the boxing world, David Benavidez had already been steadily chasing a fight with Canelo Alvarez, lingering over the super middleweight division as the one challenge that would not go away.
I got 3 WBC belts right here. I'm the best in the division. If they want to give me an opportunity now or later, I'm gonna keep winning. You know, like I said, I'm gonna be the greatest of my generation by the time I'm done, and my job is not complete until I make that happen. For Canelo and everybody else, it just shows everybody I'm not f***ing around. I'm here to stay. I just look at the facts. You know, the people want to see this fight more than Carlos Adames and Charlo. You know, that's why that fight hasn't happened. But for me and Canelo, we have motion. You know what I mean? I've been winning the fights I'm supposed to win in fantastic fashion. He has nobody else to fight. You know what I mean? So if they want to give it to me now, later, whenever, I'm not going nowhere.
For years, David Benavidez, a 2-time WBC title holder with an imposing professional record of 30 victories, no defeats, and 25 knockouts, carried the interim belt, positioning himself as a serious and immediate danger to the undisputed reign of Canelo Alvarez.
I don't really like to bash somebody because at the end of the day, I give respect to Canelo. He's a great fighter. Yeah. He's one of the best Mexican fighters of all time.
But wanting to fight him, David, is not bashing him.
Yeah.
That's not bashing him.
But that's what I'm saying. They spin the narrative on Instagram. Right. If I say something, they say this or that. But I only want what I earned.
Right.
And I'm entitled to it. From what the WBC told me, they say you win the title limiter, we'll give you a title shot. You win the WBC interim title, we'll give you a title shot. I've been in this position for 3 years. So just because Canelo, he could do what he wants, as he says. Right. He's not going to fight the top competition. And he's holding all those belts hostage, bro. And it's not like you got other great fighters too. You got me and David Morrell's there. Yeah. How is it fair that these sanctioning bodies let him pick and choose who he wants to fight? And then the Canelo fans too that be talking shit, bro. Like, do you guys not want to see the best fights?
Right.
Like, I don't understand. I'm just trying to make the best fights happen. And that's it. At the end of the day, I just want to give the fans what they want to see.
This was not quiet speculation. It became a serious proposal. News emerged that a massive $70 million deal had been presented to Canelo Alvarez for the fight. David Benavidez later confirmed those figures himself, explaining that he was willing to take a guaranteed $5 million simply to secure the matchup.
I'm not scared of nobody. I've heard everybody that's been in front of me, and Canelo's no different. And I will hurt him too, and I'll take all his belts. It's crazy that he asked for $150 million or $200 million to fight me, but he still has the nerve to say that I don't bring nothing to the table. So if I didn't bring nothing to the table, why are you asking for more money than you won in your whole career if I don't mean anything? Maybe after he gets that money, he can buy himself a pair of balls. What I wanted to tell you guys too, I mean, this guy, he's making the most money out of everybody. He's charging you guys so much for the pay-per-views. It's like he's spitting in your guys' face, saying that he doesn't give a f what you guys want. He's not going to give you the best fights. He's going to fight the fights that he wants. In my opinion, that's a little bit disrespectful to the fans, but he has cult-like fans that, you know, they don't tell him shit and they're happy with whatever he does. But at the end of the day, if you hold all the titles, you got to fight the best in the division. I'm #1 in the division, #1 contender. The second one is David Morrell. He's not fighting me, nor he's not fighting David Morrell. So it makes no sense. How is he going to call himself the champion and have all these belts if he doesn't fight the #1 or the #2 guys? He's asking $200 million. Why, when they bring my name up with him, that's the most money he's going to make. When he fought Amir Khan, he outweighed him at like 25 pounds. But, you know, I think it's just he's running out of excuses and running out of things to say, but that's just how it is. I guess that's when you're the cash cow, you can do whatever you want.
But once David Benavidez agreed to the terms, communication suddenly stopped. There were no follow-ups, no counteroffers, only complete silence. This was not hype from a fighter who had done nothing to earn his place. Benavidez proved himself the hard way inside the ring. 2 major performances strengthened his position. He methodically took apart Caleb Plant in an intense rivalry bout, controlling the action and wearing him down. After that, he faced the unbeaten and highly regarded Demetrius Andrade, breaking him down so thoroughly that Andrade's corner stepped in and ended the contest.
I've been in a ring with both guys, Canelo and Benavidez. If they fought, which I don't think they're going to fight no time soon, who do you think will win?
Man, that's hard to say. I think both have pros and cons. You know, I feel like the things that Canelo does better than David. There's things that David does better than Canelo. In a way, I'm not comparing it to this fight, but it's like the better Bivol fight. You can say who you think is going to win. You can't say like, oh man, I'm surprised the Bivol won, or I'm surprised the better won. You're like, man, that's a damn good fight. So-and-so won. So kind of how I feel about the David and Canelo fight, like who had the best camp, who has the best game plan, who slept the best the night before.
And it's not much that separates guys at that level.
If David can get on him with his combinations and not give him room to breathe, then, you know, that's probably a night that David gets his hand raised. You know, if Canelo is able to slow the pace down a little bit and catch him with a big shot. David's been dropped before from an off-balance shot. He wasn't really hurt, but, you know, would you be surprised if Canelo stopped him? You know, no. So it's hard to say, but I get asked that a lot.
David Benavidez looked back on his path and explained that from the age of 3, he is focused on a single goal, becoming the greatest boxer in history. And he firmly believes that is what he will achieve. He made it clear that this vision is what pushes him to pursue the biggest and most recognized names in the sport.
You're looking at the one that's going to chase all of them. Like, these guys are monsters, but this is the monsters world.
What followed only added more fuel to the situation and made everything even more intense.
If Canelo was 100% confident in himself, I don't know why he wouldn't fight me. Especially since, you know, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him, so he never got off.
You think he's on steroids?
Of course. How does five?
You saw De La Hoya.
How do five people out of your camp get tested positive for steroids?
Right.
You know what I mean? No, all those fucking dudes in that camp are dirty.
Call for David Benavidez once this fight is done. Is that a fight that you can see happening before the end of your career?
Look. I never say no to anything. We'll see later. But I'm focused 100% on this fight.
Is there a possibility, or you just go one at a time and you also speak with your team?
Yeah, I go one at a time, but you know, it's a possibility. Always.
Right.
But I've been in this position my whole life. One was Stroh, I was in Tron in 2012, 11. Then Mayweather, then Lara, then Cotto, then Callum Smith, then Golovkin, and then if I beat Benavidez, it's gonna be other guy there they want me to fight. So I've been in this position my whole life, but you know, is that time when that fight they ask, I give it to them. Mm-hmm. But right now in this position I am, now is the time I need to ask. If the money is right,
The silence from Canelo Alvarez only strengthened the determination of David Benavidez, leading him to speak even more directly. During his interview with Inside the Ring, when asked about Canelo's reaction to his challenges, Benavidez did not hesitate to claim that Canelo is afraid of facing him. He questioned why a fighter would allow constant public criticism without responding in the ring, and argued that defeating him in competition would not only silence the debate, but also bring significant financial reward. Benavidez pointed to Canelo's difficulties against strong, bigger opponents, such as Dimitri Bivol, suggesting that those performances reveal weaknesses. He insisted that he sees qualities in himself, speed, power, and heart, that Canelo might struggle to handle, while emphasizing that he welcomes challenges against elite fighters. According to him, stepping into the ring with top competition does not intimidate him, because it ultimately elevates his abilities and defines him as both a boxer and a competitor.
So the way I've seen him handle my presence is he's definitely scared of me. You know, if you have a fighter talking so much trash in front of you, why don't you make an example of him to the world? Beat me in the ring and make a whole lot of money. But Canelo Alvarez, as you can see from every time he fights a guy that's big with power, like Bivol, you know what I mean? And he's not able to suppress these fighters as much as he's able to suppress the little fighters. You know what I mean? So he sees a lot of things in me that he can't stop. You know, not only does he see speed, does he see power, but he sees a lot of heart in me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm going in there and I want to prove myself to the world that I'm the greatest fighter. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't scare me to get in there with another great fighter, because I know that elevates me and who I am as a competitor.
Growing in confidence and reaching what he believes is his prime, David Benavidez insisted that Canelo Alvarez let the opportunity slip away. He argued that if Canelo ever had a real chance to defeat him, it was in the past, and now he feels there is no possibility of Canelo beating him at all.
At the end of the day, he should have took the fight with me way back then, because if he had a chance to beat me, it would have been back then. He has no chance of beating me now, especially now. I'm getting all this confidence. I'm stepping into my prime. You know, I'm able to deal with these bigger shows better. You know what I mean? I'm able to thrive in these shows. I'm able to, every time I fight, I'm always winning by a significant amount. You know what I mean? So I'm learning my craft better and better each and every single fight. I'm gaining more confidence every single fight. And like I said, I really want to go in there and hurt people. I'm not a boxer. I'm a warrior, and I go in there, I tear everybody up.
This was not merely talk, but a firm statement of purpose. Yet the situation involves deeper strategic layers in boxing's ongoing negotiation of weight classes and the hesitance of other elite fighters. David Benavidez has recently considered competing at light heavyweight, emphasizing that he feels stronger and more ambitious in that division. When asked directly about returning to 168 pounds, he dismissed the idea, saying there is no reason to revisit it and that his focus has shifted. He explained that he is more comfortable at 175 and is pursuing greater challenges, specifically naming opponents such as Dimitri Bivol and Gilberto Ramirez, as well as expressing continued interest in high-profile matchups. Regarding past discussions about Terence Crawford, he suggested that each fighter should pursue their own path, reinforcing his belief that his prime and ambitions now lie in a different direction.
There comes a time the new guy steps up that says, I am the new guy to carry that torch forward.
Kind of like how when you beat Tyron Woodley, because you were the guy coming up, and Tyron Woodley was a dominant champion for a long time, and you went and beat the shit out of him. It's the same thing. I'm preparing very hard for this fight whenever it does happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but, you know, I stay training, I stay evolving as a fighter. Not only do I want to prove to the fans, but I want to prove to myself that I'm the best in the world. So if the fight comes, you know, good. If it doesn't, it's not the end of my career. And if he doesn't want to give me the opportunity at 168, that's why I'm going up to 175 right now. Because I'm not going to wait for nobody either. This fight's going to put me at the #1 contender to fight for the WBC title. And those are going to get unified at 175. So, you know, like I said, dreams always come true. It doesn't matter if somebody else is trying to stop you. You're going to find your own way and you're going to make your dreams come true.
To be honest with you, man, let Terence Crawford live. That's his weight class. I lost interest in 168 a long time ago. You know, I mean, I know that we could get offered a lot of money to go down to 168, but I'm more comfortable at 175. I'm chasing better beef. I'm chasing Bivol. You know, I'm chasing these other bigger. I'm chasing Zurdo Ramirez at cruiserweight. You know what I mean? So I've been at 168, but I have no interest in going down.
This development made the situation around Canelo Alvarez even more complicated, as it hinted that David Benavidez might eventually move beyond the weight division, where Canelo held championship control. Another unexpected turn came after the major victory of Terence Crawford, when his trainer Brian McIntyre quickly shut down any idea of Crawford facing Benavidez, clearly stating that such a matchup was not of interest. This left Canelo in an unusual position, with fewer reasons to avoid the fight that many fans and analysts continue to demand.
It's not that important to me to watch Canelo get beat like a rag doll all over the ring. It's not that important to me, bro. And that's what's going to happen if you fight David Benavidez. So the only reason that we really interest you is that you have to see that. I don't care to see Canelo get beat up like that. It doesn't really...
I'm not saying he gets beat up. But
I think he gets hammered.
Okay, but regardless. So if David Benavidez wins the fight, that's my point. I think David's going to be the next star. And Canelo has to do what great Mexican legends do. They fight the next guy. They all do that. I want that. I think that's important for the legacy of the sport, for the legacy of the Mexican. That's the problem. Why do we have to care more than Canelo, though? But Canelo, you know what Canelo does care about? The green. The green, obviously. 150, 200 million, he cares.
In life,
there's
everything is about that now.
There's 200 million thoughts about caring for that fight now. So, okay, listen, we make that fight. However we make that fight happen, I think it's important for that fight to happen. I really do. I think David Benavidez has that star quality to be the next face of boxing. And beating Canelo, I think, really matters.
Yet Canelo Alvarez still appeared to have possible paths forward, at least on the surface. After the loss to Terence Crawford, a rematch was ruled out, leaving his fighting calendar more open. He remains contractually bound to compete in 2 additional bouts, and there is widespread debate about what those fights will be. Many analysts argue that facing David Benavidez is the most sensible and compelling option, a fresh and dangerous challenge for Canelo, and one that Benavidez has clearly earned through his performances.
They're going to say, yeah, you fighting, but you're avoiding the monster. You understand me? That's going to tank the rest of his career if he keep trying to fight. Well, it's tough to say because he's made enough money that he can retire. He really has nothing else to prove. We saw him go up. He tested himself all the way up as far as he could go. He won the light heavyweight title, then he lost to Bivol. So that shows that the light heavyweight was his ceiling. And that's good enough. Really, right now, he got nothing else to prove. You know, I mean, Of course, if you keep fighting, people gonna demand you fight the monster because both you guys are Mexican. But to me, you probably shouldn't do that. You understand me? It's probably not a good fight for you at this point, for real, especially coming off a loss to Terence Crawford. It's just, to me, I don't see the hunger there to really beat the monster. You understand me? And that's what my problem was already. I didn't think it was a good fight for him because I don't think the hunger is there. Terence Crawford just showed us that the hunger is really not there anymore like that. You understand me? So you have to be extraordinarily hungry to go out there and beat the monster, because you got to put pressure on him from round 1 to round 12, or it's not going to work. And if you're not hungry, you're not going to do that. Same thing he would have had to do to Terence Crawford. He had to put pressure on him from round 1 to round, I'm talking about solid pressure, no space between them. He had to be in his chest for 12 rounds. But he ain't hungry enough to really do that. So if you're not hungry enough to do that, don't go waste your time. Just call it a day, because everybody gonna want to see you fight the monster. I don't know if they're gonna be cool with you fighting anybody else, but they're gonna keep pushing the monster narrative at you. You feel me? Now, if he wants to have a few more fights for himself, that's cool. But then he gonna get it's gonna get very tainted with the fact they're gonna say, yeah, you fighting, but you avoiding the monster. You understand me? That's gonna tank the rest of his career if he keep trying to fight. So it's better for him to just call it a day.
However, there remains uncertainty that Canelo Alvarez could choose an easier route, defending his record and prolonging his championship status against less demanding opponents. The boxing community is waiting to see whether he embraces the toughest challenges ahead or continues along a safer path. Meanwhile, the possibility of facing David Benavidez remains one of the most compelling and logical fights available if Canelo truly wants to silence critics and test himself against the division's most dangerous contender.
A guy, look, Canelo never ducked anyone in his career until you got to super middleweight. And he clearly has not fought you, even though you were the #1 guy. But otherwise, he's been a guy who's willing to fight everyone. And I have thoughts about that I want to ask you about.
But I don't care. I fight anybody. And I fight all my entire life, anybody. What do you think? I don't want to fight with one Mexico or Benavidez. But look, I hear his dad talking a lot of shit. But look, he's accomplished nothing. One single champion, Anthony Dirrell. Please, don't disrespect myself. Please, guys.